Hi everyone, it's Miss Ellen, and this week our dish from Asia is a simple classic go-to which is really easy to make. The reason that we do this one now and about this time in the term is because this is the opportunity for you to start playing with flavour, to start introducing things that you really enjoy, to start demonstrating your independent skills like chopping and prepping and time management as well. This is very, very quick to cook, but actually that means you need to prep everything in advance and you need to be ready to add things when they are ready. So let's make sure that we are ready for practical or mise en place, hair, apron, sanitising, hot soapy water, washing our hands. Let's get our equipment and let's go through the ingredients now. So for your stir fry, you are going to need a portion of noodles. 100 to 150 grams, but you need straight to wok noodles, or you could use rice. These come in 2 serving portions of 150 grams each. You might decide that actually that's 2 small portions for 2 people or 1 large portion for 1 person. You will need some kind of protein. It could be a chicken breast, or today I'm going to use tofu, or it could be something completely different like prawns or pork or beef. You will need, for flavour, soy sauce, garlic and half a red onion, and we're going to add a little chilli as well, but you will also need some oil. Now you can use any kind of oil to cook it in. I would recommend one that isn't strong tasting, so not olive oil, probably a sunflower oil, a vegetable oil is preferable. But if you have it, or if you want to splurge a little bit, sesame oil is the oil of choice for Chinese and Asian cooking, and it makes a huge difference to the flavour overall. It's really fragrant and beautiful, so if you can afford it, if you want to give it a go, try some sesame oil. Then you want to add your vegetables. Of course, we want to have a nice variety. We want equivalent of half our plate, thereabouts, of veg. So that could be, for 1 person, 3 mushrooms, half a yellow pepper, 1 pak choy, about half a carrot. If you want to add something like bean sprouts, a handful of bean sprouts. But you could include courgette, you could do even leeks or something like that, whatever you like. I nearly forgot one more thing, which is ginger. Now, ginger also gives a really beautiful, authentic Asian flavour. Now, if you keep ginger in the fridge, it will go quite rubbery and it will go off very quickly. It's actually very expensive. So although the recipe asks for you to peel and slice the ginger, which you absolutely can do if you have fresh ginger in your fridge, I actually keep my ginger in the freezer. The reason being that you can grate it very easily because it's very solid, but it stops it from going off. At school we have several woks that you can be using. If you are at home and you don't have access to a wok, you could use a large saucepan like this one. This is the largest one that I have. You can see that it has some depth to it, so it's not a frying pan, but it's not very high-sided, which means that it has a large area, large surface area for cooking to keep that heat going. So if you have something like that, that would be a great alternative. If you recall from previous videos, the easiest way to peel and crush your garlic is to use the claw technique. Cut into it with a root end, leave a tab, and use the tab to actually peel it completely free. Then we're going to put it in our mincer all the way down. There we go. Pick it back up again, give it a wiggle, and then a second go, and release. Okay, so we can add that to our saucepan. If you have fresh ginger, you want to get yourself a teaspoon in order to peel it. I will find it a little more difficult because my ginger is frozen, but that's the idea, like so. It's a lot easier to use a teaspoon than it is to use a vegetable peeler, believe me. If you are slicing, you can now just use the claw, slice into very fine pieces. It could be little juliennes, and then you can add them into your saucepan. But I'm now going to grate mine. There we go, and I can scrape it out from the inside because it's not dangerous. Go mind my fingers, and then into the saucepan. Next we are going to prepare our onion. Now we've gone through how to dice it before. If you want to dice it, you can. Generally speaking, for stir fry, thin strips is preferable because actually then you get that real crunch and it's part of that vegetable stir fry. And that's also why we use a red onion, because they can be eaten raw. So remove the stalk, peel it, just as we would as if we were dicing it. And I'm going to cut into it a couple of times, again, like as if we were dicing it. There we go. And I'm actually going to cut columns down. But rather than dicing, I'm now just going to cut the stalk free. And now we've got lots of little layered pieces, which are going to be much more crunchy, much more interesting. Now we just prepare our other vegetables, as we are now pretty competent in how to do so. With pak choy, one thing you need to do is to cut off the end, pop that in the bin, and when you open it up you might find that there's soil in between the leaves. In this case I'm lucky, but now we can give it a wash like that. And rather than putting all my vegetables into the saucepan, I'm going to pop them in a bowl ready to add when everything is ready to go. For peppers, we want to give them a wash first, because of course we are eating the skin. And then, if you recall, the way that I recommend is to use the claw technique. Use a bit of a sawing action, follow the curve of the pepper and cut all the way down. Now the recipe says half a pepper per person. I'm cooking for 2, so I'm going to do a whole pepper. There we go. Make sure that you are using the bottom of the pepper. I see too many people wasting it, don't know why. Just because it's not very pretty doesn't mean that it's not perfectly edible. Remember, the way that we want to prepare our peppers is we don't have them skin side up because it's slippery. We want it flesh side up, and for stir fry we want nice, even, thin slices. Using my claw technique and my bridge technique only ever. I'm going to put those in my bowl. For my carrot, I'm going to peel the wide end first. So that I then have something to hold on to when I peel the narrow end. To prepare the carrot, you could do little rounds if you want, although they would have to be very, very thin. I would recommend making fine batons or julienne. So I would cut it in half using the bridge and then using the claw. Like so. You've got nice, even little ribbons like that. We should know by now how to prepare mushrooms. We need to make sure that we are removing the soil because they do grow close to the ground. So we either want to wash them or to peel them, first of all, just time preference. And then we need to remove the leathery end, slice into nice fine slices. Now I can add these to our bowl. This is just alive with colour and vibrancy. This is beautiful. This is the easiest way to eat the rainbow. I love making stir fry. For your protein, you should know by now how to prepare it. If you are making a chicken breast, of course, you need to do it as the last step if you're at home and only have a single chopping board, so then you can wash everything and avoid cross-contamination. If you are at school, we have access to red chopping boards, and of course you can wash your knives more regularly. If you have beef or pork or fresh prawns, similar thing. Fresh prawns you can add into the stir fry straight away, but beef or pork, if you need to prepare it, same thing. If you are using tofu, as I am today, very much like halloumi, it has a layer of liquid inside. If I was to open this on here, it's going to make a mess, so I'm going to open it with a pair of scissors over the sink and then come back. To keep your pieces even, I would recommend chopping it in half, and in half, and in half, and in half, and in half. You get the idea, until you have pieces which you think are a reasonable size. There we go. So we need a tablespoon of oil into here. If you are concerned that you will overestimate, you can use a measuring spoon. Otherwise, you can just estimate. There we go. That'd be great. And we want to bring this up to temperature. And if you are then cooking chicken, you want to add the chicken in. You need to make sure that it is white all the way through. And if you have access to a meat thermometer at school or at home, it needs to be above 72-75 degrees centigrade. If you want to add some chilli, I would recommend between 1/4 and maybe half a teaspoon, but it could just be a pinch to taste. So I'm going to add just a little bit. Don't like mine very spicy. If you don't have chicken, you can just add everything in. You want to keep that temperature high. We want this to cook for around 5 minutes. I might give mine a couple more minutes just because of the volume of food, and then we will come back. It's had 5 minutes now, so we are ready to add our noodles. Now, I'm making it for 2 people, so I'm going to add 2 packets. And we want a tablespoon of soy sauce. I'm actually going to add a little more because I've doubled my volumes. Okay.
We only want that to cook for a couple more minutes just to make sure that the noodles are warmed. But remember, we are not trying to overcook this, we want everything to stay crunchy and crisp.
So this is a nourishing, comforting bowl of lovely food. Low in carbohydrate, high in vegetables, a good source of protein from the tofu or your choice of meat or alternative, and so easy and quick to put together. I gave mine a little sprinkle of sesame seeds on the top as well, and that fragrant sesame oil really coming through, nutty, authentic, beautiful, deep, rich flavour. I love it. The reason that we just use soy sauce and oil and garlic and all these other beautiful flavours is that so many packet sauces are so high in sugar. You'd be amazed at how much you can get in just one packet. I looked it up, and one packet that I found, which is fairly typical, had 40 grams of sugar in the whole packet. If you consumed half of that, that would be your entire intake, over 6 teaspoons in one sitting. Now, considering how much sugar people often eat and consume in one day, we definitely don't need to be consuming it through sauces as well. So just that lovely umami, salty goodness from the soy sauce and all the lovely flavours from the veggies and the garlic is all that we need in order to be happy and nutritious. So I hope you enjoyed making that with me today. I'll see you next time.